Welcome to Little Bracket of Horrors, the pod that puts the fight in fright.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Derek.
I'm Shelly.
And we are Little Bracket of Horrors. And today we have a very special guest with us. I have been a fan of his podcast for a couple years. And when I started this podcast, he's been a constant source for me to reach out to and ask questions. And he's been generous with information and just really sharing with me. So today we have Tim from Horror Flicks and Guitar Picks. Tim, welcome.
I don't have an applause button, but I can give you some physical applause.
Thank you guys so much for having me. That was thank you for the generous words. I'm blushing a little bit.
Oh, good. Lie. That was my goal, to get you to blush, even though we're not on video.
Right.
No, I appreciate you guys.
Yeah, excellent. So, Tim, I'm sure you've heard previous episodes when we have new guests on, but we like to ask a couple questions just so our listeners can get a grasp on you and know what you're all about. Are you ready?
Thank you.
All right, Tim. First question. What's the first horror movie you remember watching?
If I'm not mistaken, the other day I was throwing this on, and it kind of rang the bell that this was probably the first horror movie I ever saw, and it was The Lost Boys.
Oh, wow.
Between my mom and my aunt, I probably watched this movie 100 times growing up, and I always thought it was like a Stephen King movie because my mom was super huge on Stephen King films growing up, and nobody in my family was huge on horror in general, but my mom would watch all the Stephen King stuff because she read the books, and then kind of like the bigger name horror stuff. So I usually refer to those, but when I went to throw on The Lost Boys the other day, it really rang the bell that I was like, this was probably the first horror movie. I just never think of it as a horror movie until you really narrow it down to like vampires and stuff. But it's probably one of my favorites for sure.
Oh yeah, it's such a
That's
classic
a good one.
too. Yeah, such a good starter too. Do you remember how old you were?
Don't age Tim. Don't age Tim.
I'm not asking him his current age. How little of a lad were you,
I mean, he
Tim?
said his favorite movie growing up was The Lost Boys. I think we can all do the math, but
He's of our generation.
just in case he doesn't want to, I'm just protecting him a little bit.
When by the time I saw it, it was out for like a decade. I was probably
yeah.
So we're older than you. We get it, Tim. No, I'm just kidding.
I was probably like 7 or 8 or so. Like I said, I never think of it as a horror film, but when I was a kid, the part where they they go and eat the punks, like dance around the fire and stuff, that part scared the crap out of me as a kid. So it really is a horror film. But.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Yep, you got two more people agree with you.
Yeah.
Definitely a horror film. All right, so second question, Tim. What's the scariest thing that's ever happened to you?
On my honeymoon, I actually came face to face with a bear.
What?
We went to stay at a cabin in Tennessee, and I woke up at like 3 a.m. and I could hear I had like a Scion XB at the time, which is like one of those, for those that don't know, it's like one of those boxy cars. People see them and think like it looks like a FedEx truck shrink. But so I woke up and all I could hear was like a horn, and I was like, is that my alarm going off? So I thought maybe I slept on the keys or something, and I started freaking out, and then I realized I'm in my boxers. So I'm like, I didn't sleep on anything, So I get up, find my keys, and I go outside, and I like run downstairs, and like the horn is just constantly going, and the windows are fogged up. So I'm hitting it, like trying to unlock it to see if that will stop the alarm. And it's not doing anything. So I open the driver's side door, and the reason the horn's going off is because it's been ripped out of the freaking steering wheel by this bear that looks at me. And so I slammed the door in the bear's face, ran upstairs. And we called the cops.
Oh my gosh, you were face to face with it?
Yeah, and luckily my instinct was to slam the door so it was like shut in there because the door was open on the other side. That's how it opened the door to get in.
Oh yeah.
So, but yeah, it totaled my car. We ended up having to get a rental car to drive back from Tennessee because I live in North Carolina. So it was crazy. But yeah, I have like bear PTSD now. I feel like.
You stay away from at the zoos. You avoid those exhibits.
The bear exhibits.
Yeah. No Berenstain Bear books in your house.
Bears.
Get them out of here. Stay away from the bears.
Never going to Chicago, that's for sure.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Yeah.
The bears.
Oh man, that is terrifying. I've never run into a wild animal in my vehicle. So
Well,
that is crazy.
in your vehicle. I was like, you literally just all were on a hike where you saw bears.
No, we did. We avoided them.
Now I'm saying bears.
Bears.
Not where you saw bears.
Yeah, we saw the bears. But yeah, we were in Tennessee a couple months back for Thanksgiving, and we ran into some bears on the path that we were walking on. And to avoid the mama and her cubs, we took a trip out to the road instead. So we don't mess with bears around here. I know that.
Heck yeah. I don't blame you.
Team no bears. Well, they can exist just over there, far away.
Far away.
Yeah. All right, Tim, next question. What would you rather be bitten by? Vampire, zombie, or werewolf?
I'm going to warn you, Tim. There is a favorable one amongst us.
Let's see how you land.
And let's see where you...
Yes.
I feel like this is kind of a simple answer. I've heard people answer other stuff, and I'm like, how do you... The logic doesn't match up. I feel like it's definitely got to be vampire.
Okay. All right. We are team werewolf.
We're team werewolf all the way.
Where's your logic lie? Let me know.
Well, because with werewolf, I feel like you sometimes can't control what you do when you become a werewolf. So you might kill a loved one and have to deal with that grief. And it also might be, depending on the lore, you might not be able to enjoy it except for when there's a full moon, where a vampire, you're going to live forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you want that. If you're into werewolf, yeah. If you're into your bones breaking and your skin spreading, growing out hair, yeah.
That too, yeah. As I say, it doesn't. The transformation never seems comfortable either. But
it never is.
It's like fitting into jeans from high school. But no,
you're hitting the nail a little bit too much on the head with that comment. Fitting into those jeans from high school is just a little rough right now.
No, vampire, you get to live forever, and I guess there is like the sunlight aspect that sucks, but
yeah,
a lot of good things happen in the dark, and if you live forever, you can find ways to make money, so you can travel and kind of like be where daylight savings is. So like, okay, it's gonna be 5 p.m. like dark at 5 p.m. over on the East Coast this time. I'll spend my summers there, and I'll spend my winters over in the California or whatever. So I don't know. I just feel like there's ways to work being a vampire where other things are kind of out of your control. As far as the zombie, I mean, being a zombie just sucks.
Yeah, I know.
I feel like zombie was not a good option to add. We had one person on our Spotify comment, I choose zombie, and we were like, oh.
Which I'm going to be honest, until that comment, I didn't even know we could get emailed Spotify comments. I was like, what? Someone commented on Spotify? What the hell is that? So, yeah, I mean, if you watch 30 Days a Night, I mean, perfect scenario for vampires. So, yeah, you can find ways to make it work for you, for sure.
Twilight. Rainy Michigan.
I mean, I do love shows like True Blood.
There you go. Yeah. Vampire Diaries.
I just think like with werewolves, you only have to worry about it when there's a
full moon. And you can plan.
You could plan. You can get like locked down for that time.
Shackle
have
yourself.
someone like feed you some chickens.
Yeah. Like the Wolfman from
Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Yeah. Completely planned it out. Knew what was gonna happen.
I mean,
Seth Green.
Lupin from Harry Potter. Just a few examples of where they're living great lives, except they change into a werewolf one now and again.
And also the Monster Squad. He was trying to warn them.
And they can be out in the daylight.
Yeah, they can. You got to watch out. However often there's a full moon. I'm not going to look it up right now, but yeah.
Yeah, maybe it's like once every 40 days or something like that.
Probably.
Yeah.
Tim, do you know?
No.
I've always assumed it was once a month, but I don't think that's right.
We'll go with one of those answers. I don't know. All right, next question is, who do you think wins in a fight? Freddy, Jason, or Michael Myers?
No, I know I'm not going to match up with y'all's answer on this because if I'm not mistaken, I think you guys go with Freddy.
Yes.
But I think I got to go with Jason.
Okay.
Freddy's a close one for me, but only because I was listening to an episode y'all did. I've sometimes bounce back on like really old episodes and new episodes, so I'm not sure where it was, but somebody mentioned that Jason doesn't sleep, and I was like, that kind of is a good like concept there. But
that's true.
But they did knock him out in Freddy versus Jason, so Freddy could get him, or he could go get Freddy. They drugged him. Boom.
I will say the only thing that's the only movie that like kind of messes with like some of my argument is the Freddy versus Jason lore changes things, because like in like the end of like 7, 8, 9, he's so indestructible. Like they're definitely not just like knocking him out, but in Freddy versus Jason they make him and I guess Takes Manhattan kind of started the stupid water thing, because he was never scared of water until Takes Manhattan either, and that was kind of like dumb. I was like, he was built for water, like that's his thing. He like lives in
water. That's his
origin
story.
It's literally where he came from.
Yeah.
So they gave him some more weaknesses, but I don't know, like that part 7 and 8, Jason is just where lives for me. But
yeah,
I will say it's very neck and neck because Freddy has the cool kills and everything. It's just Michael Myers, I feel like really can't put up that great of a fight with him because he's never gone full supernatural. So he does obviously have to sleep. We just don't see it on screen. But
I like that.
well, I guess we do see it in part 5 when he's fucking slumped the whole first half of the movie. But
that's true. If you go through all the movies, you'll find a little part like, okay, well maybe this, maybe that. So when you have 12 movies, 14 movies, whatever it is, you're bound to catch them in some sort of situation.
But no, Freddy and Jason, they had a good fight already in the movies, and that's a fight I'd like to see again. So I'd probably, like I said, I'd probably go slightly with Jason, but only because he's just such a dumb wonk that it's hard to destroy. He's almost
such a
like
brute force,
like Frankenstein with less emotion.
Less emotion. Perfect. All right. So next question is, what's your favorite horror movie?
My favorite horror movie is Scream from 1996. It was the first one to show me that like horror movies could be fun. So it's just, but I will say like I love all types of horror movies. Like I also love like Hereditary, Reanimator, stuff like that. So like I'm one of those fans that likes all types of stuff, whether it's psychological or just a gore fest.
Yeah, for sure. With the horror genre, it is, what kind of mood are you in? You can always find something to fit the mood, whatever you want. So, yeah, I think a lot of the subgenres of the genre, it's just, there's tons to choose from.
Okay.
All right, Tim. So last question is, tell us about Horror Flicks and Guitar Picks. What's it about, and where can people find you?
Well, currently you can find it on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and all the places you listen to podcasts. And pretty much for the last 4+ years, I've just interviewed musicians about their favorite horror movies, their relationships with horror movies growing up, and some other like related questions. And then I mix that with interviews with people from the horror world, whether it's a fellow podcaster or a director of a movie or a makeup effects artist, composer. And then I also do monthly roundtables with a group of buddies of mine where we pick horror related topics. But I'm kind of on a small break until April, and when I come back in April, the show will be available on YouTube, and it'll be the 5-year anniversary when I come back, and I'll be mixing in. I have a monthly or like kind of like a bi-weekly co-host, and my friend Steven, who co-runs the horror clothing company Toxic Coffin.
Oh, nice.
Oh yeah, we know Toxic Coffin.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, he also does horror. He's also the one that like co-hosts my horror movie trivia nights with me and stuff. So
yeah, I've seen where you posted about your horror night trivia. That's awesome.
So he's like the perfect co-host for me to snag because like we already talk horror together when we can, and he's just like just a super good guy and stuff. So me and him he's gonna pretty much be on the show twice a month, and me and him are gonna just either review horror movies or pick horror related topics. We might even do some more music style stuff because with it being more of like a co-host thing instead of an interview thing, to kind of keep the horror flicks and guitar picks thing going, we might do like artist spotlight or talk about a new album that we like. We're not really going to review records because we're not music critics, you know what I mean? We're definitely not movie critics either, but
exactly.
It's a little bit easier to review a movie than it is to review music and stuff like that. So
sure.
We'll definitely talk about all that stuff, and then mixed in with that, I'll still do interviews at least once a month, and then the monthly roundtable as well. So,
yeah, for sure. I can say for myself personally, I enjoy your roundtable episodes so much. I think the group of guys you have with you is just an awesome balance, and it's always very entertaining, those episodes. And those I just had to give a shout out to those ones because they're my favorite.
Oh yeah, shout out to those dudes, Travis, Ren, Phil, and Jay. They're definitely fun guys to chat with, and like you said, they all have different tastes in horror. Like Ren, it's kind of like me. Ren and Travis, where you kind of like we like a lot of the A24 stuff, and Phil hates that shit. He's like Terrifier 3 all the way.
So. Yeah, perfect.
And you're at Horror Flicks and Guitar Picks Pod on all socials.
That's what it is on Instagram, on Facebook. Just the Horror Flicks and Guitar Picks.
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess if you look it up, it'll come up, and then I'm on Blue Sky. I think that's what it is on Blue Sky.
Okay.
I'm on X, of course, but with everything going on, probably not for long.
Amen.
Yes. Yeah.
We'll definitely tag you, Tim, on. Yeah, we'll share it out.
Yeah, we'll put it in the podcast notes, and then also, on the social medias, we'll be throwing your stuff out there as well.
Oh yeah, appreciate you guys.
Absolutely. All right, Tim. Well, thank you so much for answering those questions and giving us some meat. And we are going to kick this episode off with playing a little catch-up. Shelly,
as always,
have you watched anything scary or anything scary happen?
I was sitting here and I was like, have I even been on this year? It's just been busy. But I did watch Dash Cam, but I just wasn't on.
Yes.
That
you
episode.
got your notes for that, yeah.
But I haven't recorded since the end of January when we watched Triangle, but it's kind of been a interesting few weeks. My dog, we were talking about it.
Yep.
She's been dealing with some seizure issues and depression ever since she was in The Wizard of Oz. I don't know if she did the show.
Withdraw.
Yeah, and came home and was like, I'm sad now. So,
oh.
but we finally got her on a couple meds. She's only been on 2 of them for a week.
Okay.
Now, so we're hoping that will help. But we went to dinner or lunch for Sherry's birthday. We came home and for about 24 hours straight, she had these on and off seizures. So we had to finally get her on some seizure meds. But that's rounded out and. Yeah, Mom hurt herself.
I saw that today.
But
what did she do?
She fell on a walk. She literally goes on a walk around the neighborhood. But you know how we've had that gnarly fog for a while now?
It's been crazy, yeah. It's straight up the mist.
You can't see
Florida
10 feet in front of you.
Yeah, it's nuts.
So the other day it only happened a week ago, but she was walking and she decided to put on her hiking boots because she's going to New Mexico and Arizona and gonna hike in Arizona.
Nice.
And so she's like, I'm gonna do it in my hiking boots, but it was slippery because of the fog. Yeah. And she turned the corner and the driveway was just at a weird angle, and she slipped and she caught herself, broke her nub. Her what is that? Your little nub on the side of your wrist.
Yeah, the wrist area.
Yeah,
that's what Ian messed up too.
Yeah. So I mean, she's got a little cast on 6 weeks, but which she'll have to go to her little trip.
With
the cast.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
She wanted yellow, but that they didn't have yellow that she likes. Her house is painted.
Exactly. Yeah, I know.
Sunshine yellow. They gave her neon yellow. Close, but no. Other than that, it's been not much other scary things. Watched anything scary? I'm on my Oscar kick. So, Tim, if you don't know enough about my life, I try to watch every Oscar-nominated film. So even if it only has nominated for Best Original Song, I'm watching the whole movie.
Just for that.
Just for that. So, oh my gosh, what's on that list that might fall into the horror? Well, we watched...
Did you watch The Substance?
The Substance, exactly.
Yeah.
So we watched The Substance.
There you go.
It's insane to me that movie's nominated and for how much it's nominated for. So we watched The Substance. We've watched a lot of things, but that's the only really, really horror one that we've seen. There's been some weird stuff. We watched Amelia Perez on Netflix.
I don't even know what that is.
It's about a cartel boss that wants to transition and become a woman.
Okay.
And the process they go through to hide their family while they're doing it, and a lawyer that they have help them. The problem is that they made it a musical.
It sounds like it should be a serious movie.
Yeah. I mean,
That's
one of the
choice.
lyrics to the song is penis to vagina.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah,
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. That's the song.
Yeah, that's a viral clip.
Yeah.
Yes, I know exactly what you're
That's
talking about.
That's from that
now.
movie.
Well, there we are.
And a lot of the songs were just lists.
Oh, okay.
I like to run. I like to walk. It was. I don't know. You'd have to watch it to really experience it. But
interesting.
Yeah. So we've watched some weird stuff. Some great documentaries. But yeah.
Nice.
So that's what I've been up to watching in life.
Well, yeah, I think us as horror fans, we're all championing The Substance just because of the milestones and what it's doing this year.
The makeup is amazing. You've watched it, right?
Oh, yeah.
Tim, did you see The Substance?
Yeah, it was my number one of 2024 with a bullet for sure.
Yeah, it was. I think it was an honorable mention for me. But yeah, such a good movie, and I'm so happy to see, all the conversations around it, and that just leads people to look at horror more. So
it's definitely seems like the committee who votes for the nominees have a very open mind this season because there's a lot of just
crazy
left field stuff in there.
Yeah. Okay. Nice.
But what about you, Derek?
So Tim Tim spoke of Scream. I'm a little embarrassed of this, but I finally watched Scream 6.
Well, I haven't seen it, so.
Oh, last week. No spoilers at all. But it's probably my least favorite of the franchise, but it's still a Scream movie, and I enjoyed it. But it's funny because it's set in New York City, and I think some people, felt weird about that. But when I got done with the movie, I looked at my wife, and I said, for a movie that was set in New York City, it still had a very Woodsboro feel to it. So I never felt like, except, there's like a subway scene and an alley scene, I still felt like I was in Woodsboro. So, but yeah, do check it out, obviously. But yeah, I finally watched it last weekend. So playing a little catch up on the Scream franchise.
I mean, I still haven't seen it. So.
Yeah, we will get there. We will get there.
You know me.
I know. You have so much Oscar movies to watch. Good Lord.
I'm just so busy.
Well, you're a bit of a completionist, so you got to get those movies in.
And that's a lot of the problem, too, is I can't move on from one. My brain will not allow it.
I like that, though.
Also, I feel like if I'm going to watch Scream 6, I kind of have to watch all the other screens before I turn it on.
Which
I don't have to.
No, I hear you.
I know I don't have to. I've seen them all.
But to get a refresher, because they always throw back to the previous movies, so, and this one does it as well. So, Tim, what about you? Anything recent that you watched or anything scary that happened?
Nothing scary that happened, but I got out to see Companion. I really enjoyed.
Oh, yeah.
That's probably one of my favorites of the year so far. I mean, I haven't seen much this year.
It's kind of early, but yeah.
February.
And then the only other thing I really saw this year was probably my least favorite movie of the year, and that's the Wolfman. So I've only seen like two things.
Was that the Lee Winnell one, right?
Yeah, I didn't really go in with high hopes, but I kind of went in thinking, maybe you can do something cool with it because I really enjoyed The Invisible Man, and Upgrade is awesome. But it was not bad, but just kind of boring and felt very like I'm surprised that some stuff gets thrown on streaming and this got like such a big release. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. How some stuff will go straight to streaming, but then something like that will be theatrically released. I hear that. Yeah.
I'm a big fan of the Benicio del Toro.
Oh, yeah.
Wolfman, so.
That was great. I was rather impressed.
Yeah. I also had to watch Nosferatu. That's nominated.
Oh, did you? Okay.
I have not seen it yet, though.
Okay. Yes, do watch that, and then we can chat about that as well. So, all right. Well, we've played a little catch up, and I think it's time that we finally get into Dead Snow. So, first segment is Dig Up the Bones, and that's where I introduce the movie and give a brief summary. So, Dead Snow is a Norwegian comedy horror film released on June 19th, 2009. Directed and written by Tommy Wirkola. Other credits include Hansel and Gretel, Witch Hunters, The Trip, and Violent Night. Also written by Stig Frode Henriksen. Other credits include Dead Snow 2, Red vs. Dead, and Swingers. Music by Kristen Wiig. Other credits include What Happened to Monday, Dead Snow 2, Dead vs. Red, and The Trip. Cinematography by Matthew Weston. Other credits include The Trip, Violent Night, and The Marine. Special effects coordinator was Per Steiner Hufton. Other credits include Dark Floors, Frostbitten, and The Trip. Production companies, Miho Film, Yellow Bastard Production, News on Request, Film Camp, and Storm Studios. Distributed by Euphoria Film and IFC Films. Sequels, prequels. We have a prequel. It came out in 2014 called Dead Snow 2, Red vs. Dead. And I looked. It's currently available on Peacock if anybody wants to watch it. I haven't watched it yet, but if anyone's got some answer questions or an itch they need to scratch, they didn't get scratched with this movie, you got some more. Moving on, we got the budget at $2 million, and then box office is $2.2 million, respectable. Then we go on to Rotten Tomatoes scores, 68% on the tomato meter, and then 56% on the audience popcorn meter. Now we're getting into our cast, so bear with me on all these Norwegian names as I butcher them, but here we go. So there's Geir Vegas Hole as Martin. Other credits include Dead Snow 2, Hansel and Gretel, Witch Hunters, and What Happened to Monday. Then we have Stig Frode Henriksen, who was also the writer. He played Roy. Other credits include Let the River Flow, The Trip, and Cadaver. Then we have Charlotte Frogner as Hannah. Other credits include Dead Snow 2, Salt 2020, and the TV series Doomsday. Then we have Lars Vidal as Vegard. Other credits include Manhunt, The Shallows, and a TV series, Amber Bergen. Next, we have Eve Casseth Roston as Liv. Other credits include The House, a TV series, Dirty Money, White Lies, and Nudes. Then we have Jep Beck Lauren as Erland. Other credits include There's Something in the Barn, The Last Kingdom, and Max Manus, Man of War. And rounding out our cast, we have Jenny Skovlin as Chris. Other credits include Once Upon a Time in Puckett, Empty Barrels, and Boring. So, Dead Snow. A group of medical students head to their friend Vegard's cabin in the snow-covered mountains for a weekend of fun and relaxation. After a mysterious visitor gives them a chilling warning of undead Nazis roaming these mountains, the trip turns horrifying when things come to life. So that is Dead Snow. Reactions to us landing on it. Shelly, I told you we landed on it. I texted you.
Yeah.
How did you feel? I don't think you've ever seen this before.
No.
Okay.
Nor did I knew it existed.
You've never heard of it?
Never heard of it.
Okay.
Of course, with any Derek pick, I have concern and fear of what I'm about to watch.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's about it. Fear and concern.
Fear and concern.
Yeah.
That's a common vibe.
Yeah. Is
and
it
feel.
gonna really suck?
We shall see.
Yeah.
So yeah, this was a Derek pick. I remember when it came out years ago. I saw a trailer for it. I was like, this looks amazing, and I never got around to seeing it. And then this year, when I was putting a list together, I was like, trying to think of movies that have been on my list for years that I never got to. So I was like, let's try Dead Snow. So I threw it on in the bucket. It ended up on the wheel, and here we are.
Aren't we lucky?
We're the luckiest. And then, Tim, I reached out to you a while back to see if you were interested, and you agreed, so you can't be mad at me. But, yeah, tell me about your reactions to learning you were going to have to talk about this movie.
Kind of the same as yours. It was one of those that back when I was watching, like back in like 2009, most of the time when I was watching these kinds of movies, it was like whenever me and my group of friends were getting together to like jam or do something, and just throwing on a movie at the end of the night to like finish off the night. And I remember seeing the trailer for this and like we all talking about wanting to see it. And I think the night they finally watched it, I just happened to be working or like doing something. And so I just never got around to seeing it. So like after all these years, I was like, when you hit me up and you were like, Dead Snow's next up on the, was the next pick. I was like, hell yeah, give me an excuse to finally watch it and knock it off the list. So now I was excited to finally watch it. And without giving too much of a spoiler, I mean, it's enjoyable.
Yeah.
Enough.
Was this a first watch for all of us then?
I believe so, yeah. How fun is that?
Nice. I don't know if that's ever happened. Maybe.
Street
trash.
Street trash. Yeah, street trash. Poor Erica. I'm so sorry. But that takes us through Dig Up the Bones. Let's move on into Feasting Fiends. And this is where we get into our topics of pros, cons, characters, dialogue, and our favorite kills / scares. So, Tim, with you being our special guest today, why don't you kick us off with your pros?
This movie is pretty much overall, it's an enjoyable watch. It's very good for like a group watch or, throwing on in the background of, like I wouldn't say Halloween party, but like if you do like a winter party, like most of your friends are horror fans or something. But of course this has got some flaws to it, but overall it reminds me of like those 90s low budget films like Ice Cream Man or Jack Frost, where it's not really like a great film, but it's just super fun. There's a lot of practical effects moments to enjoy, and there's some humor that lands throughout. So there's moments that keep you interested, but you don't really need to pay attention because it is kind of formulaic at times and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I would agree with that. All right, Shelly, what about you? What do you have for pros?
I'd have to agree with Tim. As anyone who listens to this podcast, I'm a practical effects girl. If you can do it in the horror world without green screening it, you're going to be a fan. And they had a lot of good ones. And it wasn't super cheesy either sometimes. It was really good looking. Lots of blood, lots of intestines.
Many intestines.
Many intestines.
Tangled in trees as well.
So, yeah. randomly.
Yeah.
Like, you got hit in the head and now you're anyways, there is like Tim's head falls.
Yeah.
But I have to commend them. I really think, well, they probably had a pretty high intestines budget.
All the money went to the intestines.
I think a lot of it. But
$2 million worth of intestines.
They didn't skirt around the practical effects.
Yeah.
So I have to applaud them for that. Being kind of low budget looking, they at least didn't green screen stupid shit like other movies.
Yeah.
I actually really liked the soundtrack to this film.
Oh, okay.
It was a lot of heavy metal.
Yeah,
it was a lot of German that you couldn't understand, or
maybe Norwegian. It's a
Swedish. I don't know.
One of those.
All the same. That's very naive of me. That's not what I mean. But
it's very American.
It was all in a different. Yeah, that's very not understanding other cultures of me. I admittedly, I'm sorry. Anyway, it was just a lot of like fun little music. Well, I mean, there was like those 80 music montages several times.
Yes, those are funny.
But even like when they were killing, Nazis, there would be like a banger in the background.
Yeah.
Sometimes it would fade out a little too soon. I'm like, you're not done killing them yet. Like, let's keep the.
I want to hear those crunchy guitars. Bring them back in.
Right.
It's a great little soundtrack for some mayhem. I agree. That's a great point.
So I did like the soundtrack and the music. Songs that they picked, but I did enjoy also like their attempt to call out other horror movies.
Yeah, they did that quite a bit. Yeah.
So obviously the chainsaw comes out, and the guy was wearing, I believe, a Brain Dead shirt.
Yeah. Erland.
So I did like the call outs for the other horror movies, but those are my top pros to the movie.
All right, so I'll jump in. First pro was the setting. It was shot in Malziv and Alta municipalities. And I thought the mountains were beautiful. The one scene, I think, where Vegard is taking like a little snack break from his snowmobile adventure, and he's just chilling on top of the mountain, and it just looked breathtaking. It also, like, with all the white snow and all the gore that was happening, it just made the blood and the guts pop out that much more. So I think making all this mayhem happen in the snow was a perfect place to set all this mayhem. So setting was great for me. The third act, my goodness, this movie let it fly towards the end. We had constant action and dismemberment. Really enjoyed the creative kills, and I think it was the one scene, Martin and Roy, they were chainsawing and like bashing Nazi skulls left and right, and that was one of my favorite moments. And then, who would have thought that zombies could not only climb trees, but also get involved in hand-to-hand combat?
Those zombies were so articulate.
Yeah,
is the word I'm looking for.
But yeah, who would have thought? Who would have thought they could be that good? Also, I thought the makeup work on Colonel Herzog and his men was awesome. Makeup department did great in that, but I love the tone of the skin and like the decaying look. I think it looked really good. And anytime you put a mouthful of blood and it's bubbling out of these guys, it makes for a really cool look, and I enjoyed the look overall. And at the beginning of this movie, we got a song, "In the Hall of the Mountain King." This song has been heard 1,000 times in the movie. It's the dun 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 dun. Did you like that?
Yes, yeah.
I was pretty spot on until that last note. I think I lost that last note. Oh, perfect.
Solid.
But yeah, so I think
you have a career.
I do. I have a career. I have a career. I have a future. I have a pathway to stardom, much like Maxine. But yeah, so in a movie where it's a horror comedy, I think that song is perfect to kick this off, because even in that scene, Sarah's being chased by the zombies all through the woods, which is, a terrifying moment, but you have this song that's been put over so many goofy things that you're just like, oh, you're ready for some silliness. It's just going to be like tongue-in-cheek and not too serious. So I thought it was a good move to start the movie off with that, and that takes me through my pros. Next up, cons. Tim, what do you have? What beef do you have with this movie?
Not really much, other than like I mentioned, it being a little bit formulaic. So like the story is very simple. There's evil at the beginning that we get teased, then we meet the friends, and then the evil comes for the friends. But just because it's simple doesn't mean it's bad. But because of the simpleness, towards the end of the film, I do feel like a little bit of the climax, like pretty much after that point where he cuts his arm off, like I just I started to feel the length a little bit, and I was like, all right, let's wrap this up. So
yeah,
and that's just because of the simpleness. There wasn't really much meat to the story. It was pretty much just the friends cracking jokes and like getting to know them and getting to like them and stuff like that. And then of course getting to see the Nazi zombies and stuff, which that's one thing I did mean to mention as a pro though is I like the fact that the zombies weren't treated as the normal zombies. Like they did bite, but they weren't really out there to eat. They were out there more to kill than anything. So that kind of go back to the pros part. But no, other than just that part, there is some scenes that you could tell that they try to touch up with CGI just because they probably had to. But that's so few and far between that it doesn't really put too much of a con on the movie. But yeah, other than just it being such a simple story that you start to feel the length, even though it's not that long. And of course, who knows, some of the dialogue might be silly, but I was reading subtitles that I could tell were already not perfect. And I mean, the acting might not be great, but I don't speak German, so I didn't really want to, I don't know, if they were talking weird or talking nervous or, stuff like that. So it's hard to tell with the acting when they're speaking, different language and stuff. So of course, some parts you could tell the acting was a little iffy, but overall, I feel like for a low budget film, it wasn't anything to like knock or anything.
Fair points. All right, Shelly, what about you? Cons? What do you got?
Yeah, to your point, though, like I watched it for free on Plex. And it's an hour and a half movie, roughly.
Yeah.
With commercials, it took me almost 2 hours to watch that movie.
And I think Plex puts
Plex
puts commercials, I think, every 15 minutes.
And it was in the worst spots. They're like, our friend just died, commercial.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know. Just had to, he mentioned that. I was like, you're right. It took forever for me to watch this. I think they fell short. I think they were trying to do, let's get into my cons. I think they were trying to do what Shaun of the Dead did with their version of a zombie movie.
And this came out after it too.
Correct.
So,
I checked before I made my statement.
Point,
before I made my bold statement, I made sure Shaun of the Dead came out first, which it did.
It did.
I think they were trying to do that, and I just think it didn't hit as hard as they would like, especially with like the movie references and stuff.
Yeah.
They were very slight movie references, and if you'd have to watch very specific movies to get the references. It wasn't like something everybody would know kind of thing.
Yeah, and with Shaun, it was so smart with all the different references and how they did it. So with this, it was all like, oh, okay, so Erland's wearing a Brain Dead shirt.
Yeah.
Or they're talking about Evil Dead.
Yeah.
So like with, the differences.
They're like, look at us.
Vastly different.
Yeah.
Yes.
Nazi zombies. Right now, I just don't love anything Nazi.
Yes.
But let's just make a blanket statement there. However, I didn't love these kind of zombies. I like a traditional zombie. These were not traditional zombies. Like I said, they're articulate. Like they were like, we know. And he's like, attack. And they're all like, brah, we'll attack. I'm like, you like a director of the zombies? Like,
yeah. Herzog.
I did not. So I did not like these zombies in general. Or Nazis. I also found there to be a lot of inconsistencies.
Yes.
Like, you show up for this winter trip and one guy has a snowmobile. And he's like, you guys walk for 45 minutes. I'll see you up there. But I'm going to unpack and everything. And then they get there and they're like, should we unpack? He was supposed to do it.
Well, first of all, he had a lot more room on that snowmobile. He could have took some
also,
bags.
He's like, I got all the bags. It was like 2.
The girl was still wheeling the suitcase through the snow.
Right, exactly. And where did they get all the food and beer? Where was that?
Where was the food and beer?
It surely wasn't on the snowmobile. She just like
maybe it was under the floorboards.
Threw everywhere because like the way he was riding through the mountains, no food or bag would have survived.
He was hilarious on the snowmobile.
Also, like the guy who got hit in the head and then suddenly his intestines were attached to the tree. I'm like, he didn't hit you in the stomach. He hit you in the head.
Yeah, that was Roy at the end. That was,
the inconsistencies of things. And let me go back to my Shaun of the Dead point. Even at the end, it was almost short of them being like, womp, womp, womp. Like they should have played that sound. Like you just didn't like that. I mean, at this point, why not?
Why not? Let's lean into it a little bit more.
Anyways, and the subtitles. Fuck them.
Oh, the subtitles?
Yeah.
All right. Also fair points.
Those are my cons.
All right. Excellent.
I want to add to the inconsistencies. Also, the guy that comes and tells them like, hey, that place is dangerous, then immediately takes his tent up there and camps out where the zombies are.
Yeah, the Wanderer, whoever that guy was. They
called him the Wanderer.
Oh, they did? Okay.
I think that was his actor or the character name.
List
the Wanderer.
I'm BD.
Yarn.
Exactly, that dude.
Yeah.
But yeah, he comes in, he tells him, he's like, you should be worried about your friend Sarah. She shouldn't be out on these mountaintops, all this crazy stuff. And what does he do? Go camp out in the mountaintops. So yeah, that's a big inconsistency too.
Like an idiot.
Yeah,
Good
dumb.
Tim.
Dumb.
He gets his ass got.
All right, so for my cons, it just took a little bit too long to get to the fun. Tim, how you said the beginning of this film started to drag for you. It was about 20 minutes into this film when I was waiting for things to kick off. I was like, come on, let's get to it. Because, like,
they wouldn't even show the faces of the things. Yeah,
and that was the
forever.
thing. Like, I think they spent a little bit too much time on the characters when the characters weren't really important to what we came to this film for. You know, we wanted the gore, we wanted the zombies to tear them apart. So I think for us spending 40 minutes getting to know the characters and like dealing with the building up to this conflict, it was just a little bit too long for me. My next con, and this isn't really the movie's fault, but comedy doesn't translate well when you're dealing with subtitles. I was lucky enough to find a dubbed version on YouTube that I watched.
Which scared me.
It scared you?
I didn't watch it.
You didn't watch it?
No.
Okay. Well, I did, so I could enjoy maybe some of the humor of it, because I think understanding the language at which the comedy is being delivered is a big part of being able to enjoy it, because when you're just reading dialogue, I think you're going to miss those parts. So though it wasn't the movie's fault, it landed on a con for me. And then to I think what you said, Tim, there was a moment of CGI. For me, the moment was when Vegard was on the mountaintop, which was a beautiful, beautiful place, but he was like hand-to-hand combat with one of the zombies. And there was a moment where it was an obvious green screen. And I don't know if they like needed to add it in post or why exactly that happened, but for me, in a movie with such beautiful landscape, it stuck out like a sore thumb when all of a sudden I have this green screen that I have to deal with. So that was a final con for me. So let's move on into characters. Tim, what do you got for characters? What are your thoughts?
Kind of both of you have mentioned it so far, but Erland, being the horror movie fan, he's probably my favorite.
Yeah.
Just the like his references, and then the fact that he's got the Dead Alive Brain Dead shirt on, and then
good.
But I do want to shout out the girl that sleeps with him in the freaking
oh my gosh,
outhouse.
Chris?
That was the grossest scene of all time. But shout out to her for being a trooper.
I didn't know when we would get into it, but here we are. Fucking Chris.
That was disgusting.
Maybe
it was hilariously disgusting.
He definitely wasn't done. He wiped once, and he had just wiped, and homegirl stuck them fingers in her mouth. Gross.
Like, don't.
So gross. First of all, you're in an outhouse. It's not a place to get down, I would say. And then
the smell alone, I don't know how you could get a boner.
Oh, it would ruin any kind of chance of things happening for sure. But yeah, that's so gross. Chris. Chris will forever be known as the gross girl in the outhouse with poor I wouldn't say poor Erland, but
sure,
Erland. Yeah, he was just fine with it probably, but yeah, do you have anything else on characters you want to throw in, Tim?
I did like the dude that I was real bad with the names because I was going with the subtitles.
Yes.
I wasn't really paying attention as much, but like to the name part, but the guy with the longer hair that was like, kicking some zombie ass from pretty early on.
Vegard.
Yeah, Vegard. Yeah. I really liked him, just because the fact that in a lot of zombie films, you don't see somebody, like take over like that, and when you do, it's kind of like over the top. Like his felt like somebody kind of like, it actually kind of felt like the most realistic part of the movie, the way he was fighting the zombies, like somebody could truly just, pull their britches up and get it done if they needed to, know. So
just get it done with the machine gun on his snowmobile.
Yeah, he was freaking biting
out of nowhere. Yeah,
biting their necks and stuff.
Yeah,
like,
he bit a zombie. I was like, I don't know about that, dude. Typically, the other way around, you're gonna get the infection, but I don't know what's gonna happen. I mean, this was breaking all kinds of traditional zombie rules, anyways. But I was like, why not bite a zombie? Let's do it.
The horror fan definitely wouldn't have done it, but
yeah. Oh man. All right, Shelly, what do you have for characters?
I'd have to agree. Erland was my favorite.
Yeah.
It was nice to see a big guy get a little love,
That's true, yeah. And she, she just came in and took it.
Yeah.
Other than the whole fingers in the mouth thing, I would have cheered a lot more for Erland.
Yeah, she didn't even care. She was like a nerd. Yeah, I'm in. Like from the jump.
Yeah, she was dropping prom night on him. trying to get
She
into
she quoted a few
yeah,
movies,
yeah. So I was like, all right.
No, it was April Fool's Day, I think.
Oh,
Yeah,
there
yeah,
you go.
yeah, yeah.
April Fool's Day. Thank you.
Least favorite was the Nazi zombies.
Nazi zombies, all of them. Colonel
Hate 'em.
Herzog, yeah, he can go kick buckets. It was nice to see Nazi zombies get absolutely tore apart by humans. All right, so characters for me, I said it in the beginning, but I think these characters were pretty mid, and they're just set here for us to watch get tore apart. But a couple things on Martin. I thought he was quite the conundrum. He wanted to be a doctor, but he was very what's the word I'm looking for? He was very standoffish about the sight of blood, and also he had that moment with Hannah where all of a sudden he thought he would show her the Middle Ages anesthetic style, and he tried to smother her. So I thought that was an odd move, and you think you're playing games and you're having fun with your girlfriend. I don't think that's a joke. I don't think that's maybe that's some like Norwegian humor that I'm not aware of, but that was just an odd move by Martin. And then the only other thing I wanted to say, Vegard with his X Games skills on the snowmobile was very impressive. And I did think that he was going to be like the final guy with how, you were saying, Tim, he was like kind of taking over and like finding ways to take these guys out. But I guess I was proven wrong, but I wasn't mad about his death, and I'm sure we might get into that. But he had a pretty spectacular death scene. So, yeah, good on Vegard. And we've already talked about Erland. Yeah, and Chris, gross, super gross girl. But yeah, that's all I had for characters. All right, next up, let's move into dialogue. Tim, did you have any moments that you want to talk about good dialogue for you? If you want to speak Norwegian, please go for it.
Time to break it out.
There you go.
No, because it was subtitles, it was hard to remember, quotes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think I can't remember necessarily the dialogue, but the part where he was like, where he threw the Molotov cocktail and pretty much busted it inside, and he was on the phone with the cops, and he was just like, yeah, we've set the house up. He's like, we're fighting zombies or whatever. They hang up on him. He's like, tell him it's terrorists.
Yeah, he's like, tell him it's terrorists. I have no signal now, which is funny because the whole time it's like, oh, you had a cell phone, even though Vegard was like, there's no cell phone service.
Right.
Apparently it's working
and it
now.
Worked.
Another inconsistency. So there you go. To your guys' points earlier. That whole part was pretty funny though, because they went to throw the Molotov cocktail out the window, completely missed the window, and just threw it at the corner of the room. Just
stupid.
Yeah, dumb Roy. Anyways, Shelly, what about you? Dialogue. What do you got?
Obviously, I enjoyed the Indiana Jones quote. That was a good little call out. Probably the only good
and
one
just
they did.
When they found the treasure too, so very Indiana Jones part too. There you go.
Absolutely. But then there was a good little banter between the three guys when they finally found Vegard again. Martin goes, "Where have you been?" And Roy was like, "Where the fuck did you get a machine gun from?" And Vegard's like, Vegard, whatever.
Yeah, Vegard, yeah.
Well, I've been busy.
Yes. Clearly very busy by all the blood splatter all over himself.
Enjoy that little banter.
Yeah, that was fun. It had a couple good little lines, but one of the ones I liked was after Erland's face was tore apart in front of all of his friends and the Nazis dragged him outside, but Roy just said, after such a traumatic thing to witness, he just simply said, "I told you that we should have gone to the beach." And I think that that actually could have been a great tag for this movie. Something on the posters. We should have just gone to the beach. So I thought that was good. And let's move on into favorite kills or scares. Tim, take it away. What do you got? Favorite kills, scares, whatever it is.
So the scariest moment of the whole movie for me is when the one girl wakes up and she's like buried in the snow.
Oh,
and
yes.
like literally has to like find her way out, which I kind of like that because they had a conversation earlier about like spitting in the snow and like all
that's
the
right, yeah. How to get yourself out of an avalanche, yeah.
That scene right there was like the true scary part, of course. But then as far as like just favorite kills and stuff, I got to go with Erland as well. For that one. For that answer, because when they like split his head open and then his brain just flopped on the floor, it was hilarious. And then practical effects gold. So I got to go with Erland's death.
Absolutely, and for that to happen to him wearing a brain dead shirt was just chef's kiss. I mean, what else shirt should you be wearing when your face gets ripped off?
Right. I kept expecting, and with every time they would grab somebody like that, I was expecting them to do the Day of the Dead kill, with the elevator. So I was like, oh, here's that nod. So it was nice to actually have like a subverted thing, happen with those kills.
Yeah, for sure. Shelly, what about you? What do you got for scares or kills?
I enjoyed Erlin's kill. If he's going to be my favorite, I'm going to give him my favorite kill as well.
Yeah.
Especially because, like, at first it seemed like they weren't doing much, and then they jabbed a thumb right into his eyeball.
Oh, it looked so good.
Yeah, it looked really good. And then he just got ripped to shreds.
I was very surprised by the brain fall on the floor.
Yeah.
When I saw the face rip, I was like, oh, cool. Like, you saw the brain. You're like, oh, how cool.
Yeah.
And then splatter on the floor. I'm like, nice. Yeah. Nice little exclamation point on this scene.
Also, when the one girl was like, I just saw Chris's head.
I had that as like a scare, a creative scare. It wasn't that scary, but I was like, oh, she was relieved. Oh, there's Chris's head. She's fine.
There's Chris, and then it moved.
And then it's like, oh, that's a decapitated head. That is no good, ma'am. But, okay, so favorite kill, I think we all agree was Erlen. But I also really enjoyed Vegard's. You know, he just got done grinding up a bunch of zombies with his snowmobile. And then they popped out of nowhere, stabbed them a bunch of times. And then they grabbed all of his limbs and just tore him limb from limb. Like, he was just in pieces. And in that scene as well, like, how it was shot was really cool as well, because the zombies were all like a muted, like dirty gray, like white. But Vegard was just like covered in blood. So it's just this red guy in the middle of all these other dudes, and they just tear him apart. And I think it looked really cool, and it was done really well with the practical effects. But I thought that was awesome. And then I do have what I thought was the lamest kill, which was Hannah, when she snuck up on Martin. And what a dumb thing to do anyways. But also within this movie, all these kills are over the top and they're silly and fun. But this one was like the total opposite of what the mood of this movie was, because it was sad and somber that he accidentally killed his girlfriend. And it didn't really fit like this movie at all, but they did it anyway, and it was just, for me, it was the lamest kill. So Hannah, I'm sorry, you're getting crowned with lamest kill.
Also, you can only let one girl live.
That's true. All the girls got bye-byed.
Fuck you, males.
I do like how Liv, she got knocked out, and then when she was waking up, she saw the zombies like tearing out her intestines, and then she went ahead and pulled the pin on the grenade thing and blew them all up. So. Good on Liv to sacrifice herself to take out a bunch of dirty Nazi zombies. But any other scares or stuff you guys wanted to talk about before we move on?
No.
I did like I don't know if you guys remember back in the day, there was like, when the very early days of the internet, there was that viral video of it was like a banned car commercial, and the car would like, it was driving down the mountain, and all of a sudden a zombie face would pop up and scare the crap out of you.
No, I don't remember that.
No, I don't think I know that.
I remember the maze one with the Exorcist face.
Oh,
there was
okay.
this game you could play. You never won. It just, the last one was like a jump scare of like Reagan's face.
Oh, okay. I don't know that one either. I know neither of these. So the car commercial, what was it?
So it was always called like a banned car commercial, and it was like from Swedish or like Finland or something like that, and Sweden, not Swedish, but pretty much what it was is it was a car driving down like a mountainside like on a sunny day, and it would be like playing like some like kind of beautiful music, and then all of a sudden the zombie face would like pop up and scare the crap out of you. And I have to send it to you guys, but what's crazy is that very first scare when Sarah's like dying at the beginning.
Oh yeah.
Where like she's before she dies, when she's like running, and all of a sudden the zombie face like pops up out of nowhere and like is right in frame. I swear that was like a nod to that, because of course it reminds me of the like House of the Dead like arcade games as well, with the way that the like zombies would pop up out of nowhere and you have to shoot them and stuff. But it really reminded me of that faux car commercial from back in the day.
That's hilarious that you mentioned that, because I was listening to another podcast that was talking about Dead Snow, and someone referenced that moment as a car commercial moment. So I didn't understand they didn't go into depth like you just did in explaining that there was this car commercial back in the early days that went viral. So there you go. I just got some context to that comment from a different podcast.
No, I'll definitely send it to you guys if you want to end up like linking it on the episode or whatever,
Yeah, perfect, dude. Nice.
Or just check it out.
Yep. All right, so next up, we're going to move into Final Cut. And this is where I tell the ending of the film, and we discuss and give our ratings of 1 to 5 stabs. 1 stab, no redeeming value. 2 stabs, bad. 3 stabs, mediocre. 4 stabs, good. 5 stabs, masterpiece. All right. Martin and Roy accidentally set fire to the cabin with Molotov cocktails. They escape and arm themselves with a chainsaw and hammer. More zombies attack, but they are aided by Vegard. During the attack, Vegard is killed, and Martin accidentally kills Hannah, who has returned to the cabin after being buried in an avalanche. Colonel Herzog arrives, leading a group of zombies. They attack, and Martin is bitten in the arm. To avoid becoming infected, he cuts off his arm with a chainsaw, just to have another zombie pop out of the ground and munch on his privates. After killing the remaining undead, Martin and Roy are about to attack Herzog, who calls upon hundreds of zombies that rise from under the snow. Whilst running from their attackers, Roy is hit in the head with a hammer by Herzog and disemboweled by a tree branch. Herzog walks up to his lifeless body and retrieves a watch from his pocket. Martin realizes the zombie's intent and retrieves the treasure box from the ruined cabin. He returns the box to Herzog and escapes to the car. There, he finds a gold coin in his pocket, just as Herzog smashes the window of the car. The end. So, how did we feel about the ending of the movie? Tim, I'll throw it to you first, sir.
I like kind of like how you said the beginning, shows you exactly what kind of tone you're getting. I did like that it ended on like a punchline.
Literally.
But other than the fact that it ended exactly on a punchline, I feel like the ending did drag a little bit. Like, it just felt like it kept going. Like, I feel like it made me think that three or four people were maybe gonna get out alive.
Yeah.
And then at the end, it was almost like, all right, let's play who's gonna survive. And it was like, at that point, I wasn't as interested in that. I was kind of like, I've seen enough gore and cool moments. I don't need to see a bunch of like chasing just to get another arm cut or the fourth intestine scene, especially like when Shelley mentioned it was such a stupid one because it was literally a hammer to the head and all of a sudden he's like, I'm attached to a tree, like, oh. So it was, that was my only thing is like a lot of the cooler moments had already happened, just like the chainsaw cutting the dude's arm off, like. Yep. And of course, those two were like the dumbest ones, so they didn't really deserve to live. But I mean, if the dude had to live with his arm, if he had to live with his arm cut off and knowing that he killed his own girlfriend, and then the other one knows that he's the reason that they were screwed to begin with because he burnt their hut down, then I feel like
zero protection now. Yeah,
they live with some trauma. So yeah, overall, I feel like the ending was not, I wouldn't say weak, but it just definitely, if there would have been 10 minutes cut out earlier on, I could see where this wouldn't have felt so laggy, and then kind of vice versa. You know what I mean? So either way, it just lagged a little bit, but I did like the actual like full on ending and how it like wrapped up.
Nice. All right, Shelley, how about you? How did you feel about the ending of Dead Snow?
I thought it was really stupid that he was like, here's this box of gold. Everything's good now, right? We chill. And the zombies were like, oh, you're good, bro. Thanks for the gold. That's all we wanted this whole time. We swear.
Yeah.
And then he forgot he had a piece of it in his pocket, and that's stupid.
What's her Hannah put a piece in his pocket when they first opened the box. She slipped it in. I don't know if it was a joke or something.
All right.
Yeah, for me, the ending was it was fine. I do agree. I think they were trying to appease some sort of kill count with taking Roy out. It just... They were right there. It was kind of pointless.
I mean, maybe it was because like he was dead anyways because he got his dick bit off, or the other guy.
So Martin was the guy who got his dick bit off.
Sorry, I'm confusing the two.
Now that I'm thinking of it, I guess there was a point to Roy's death because Herzog had to grab that watch, that piece of the treasure somehow. So I guess he got it off his dead body, and that's when Martin realized that he had to return the Nazis' dirty gold that they stole from all the Norwegian people. But so I got what I came for when I saw all the guts and gore. So the ending was just a matter of, let's wrap this up. So with that, let's give it our stabs. Tim, what do you stab Dead Snow?
So I've been going back and forth between a 2 and a 3, and I think just because of the fact that I really don't know if I really care to rewatch this ever. Mm-hmm. Like I guess I'm like, I would watch it if somebody else had put it on, but once you hit 30, that kind of occasion doesn't happen as much anymore. Like where you pop in and somebody's watching something. I'm 32, well, 33 in a month, but so it's not like that's kind of, and then plus cable is kind of a dead thing too. So it's not like popping in and somebody's watching something happens like that much anymore. But although I was watching Motel Hell one day when a cable guy came through, my wife thought I was crazy.
Okay, all right. There you go, Motel Hell.
But no, so pretty much I'm gonna give this a 2, just because, like I said, I was going back and forth on it, and I was thinking like it's not bad, it's not great, so I was gonna give it like the 2.5, but just because it doesn't really have much rewatchability, I'm gonna drop it down to the 2.
Yeah, I think for what this movie is, I think there's tons of other movies out there that do it better. So if you're looking for this. I like probably like 20 minutes of this movie that I would rewatch, but yeah, I totally agree that if I want this movie, I'm gonna watch Dead Alive. So Shelly,
or Shaun of the Dead, like Shelly said.
Yeah. Shelly, what about you?
It's better than a lot of movies that we've seen.
Yes.
In comparison to the podcast, those watches.
Yeah, and we've watched some pretty bad foreign films as well.
Yes.
Thirst, Icelandic vampire movie. You remember?
Awful.
You remember?
Awful. Which
Awful.
there was biting penises in that movie
Hey,
too.
there you go. Look at that.
What is up with them in that?
I don't know. They do a lot of weird poo-poo and private stuff. Right?
But I think because it was so strong in that aspect, I might rate it a little higher.
Yeah.
I want to rate it lower.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it has a fighting chance up against it if it goes up against certain things.
That's
what I'm saying.
It's got a fighting chance when we get to the bracket, depending on where it lands.
But I'm going to give it a 2.5.
Okay. Strong.
That's what I'm giving
enough, maybe.
Yes.
We'll see. Strong enough, maybe.
I think I don't want to give it a 3 because it's not that.
Yeah.
But I think it could beat like a dash cam.
Yeah. For me.
Absolutely.
I agree.
So that's where I'm kind of like want to give it more, but I'm like I don't have to give it more for it to beat a movie.
Yeah.
Is what I'm saying.
All right. So for me, I enjoyed the final third of the film. Like I said, it took too long. And I actually think, and I think you said this in the beginning of the episode, Tim, but I think this is a great movie to put on in the background. Like if you've seen this movie, you know what parts to look for and you know when to check out. So overall, it was decent. I ended up landing on a 3 myself. So that takes us through our stabs. Next up is Voices from Beyond. And this is where we share your guys' thoughts on the movie, and Shelly's going to take care of that. And then, Tim, I think you threw it out to your listeners on your socials. So if you have any, feel free to share them after Shelly goes through ours.
Sounds good. Thank you.
All right. So I've got Scott F., who basically said, chopping up Nazis, I'm so there.
Agree.
Brian M. Said, this was a first-time watch for me. I've seen it floating around on various streaming platforms over the years, but never got around to watching it. So thank you, Wheel of Death, trademark, for finally giving me an excuse to sit down with it. Dead Snow had some great practical effects and zombie designs, but I just felt indifferent about the characters and whether they lived or died. I'm horrible with names IRL, so I hate when movies, especially foreign movies, introduce everyone all at once. I'm looking at you, Battle Royale. That hurts my heart.
There we are.
There were plenty of tropes, like an extremely remote location that's a pain in the ass to get to, and splitting up when you clearly shouldn't, that were even acknowledged. But I felt like the movie couldn't decide on whether it was straight up horror, parody, or something in between. I also would have liked to know why the Nazis became zombies and not just died off naturally. It was almost like, to me, they were like zombies, not zombies, but like just rotting people.
Yes. So they're
like really old people.
So there's a dual thing going on that the writer director guy was putting in. So that's, I think that might answer those questions. And I'll get into those in interesting facts. But yeah.
This lands at a solid 3 stabs. I enjoyed it for the most part. Didn't feel like I wasted my time, and will most likely check out the sequel, but I probably won't be rushing back for a rewatch anytime soon.
Yeah.
Matt F. said, thank you, Wheel, for this one. As the group was making the trek to the lonely cabin out in the middle of nowhere, knowing that a member of the party was making their way solo across the mountain, my first thought was that this movie was going to be complete garbage full of cliches that didn't work. But I was happily surprised as my crappy starting attitude changed and I began to love this movie. As I watched the characters do everything you shouldn't do, I thought that the zombies were well done and the action and comedy along with the blood and guts just kept getting better. And I do have to say, I will never look at an outhouse the same way again. Thank you, Wheel. And then at Mohawk Crew _Tanner on TikTok said he loves this movie. So
there you go, Tanner _woof whatever on TikTok.
Mohawk Crew _Tanner.
Listen, I have a terrible case of the ADHDs, even though you just said it. Maybe some listening issues as well.
Yes.
All right. Tim, did you have anything from your listeners?
I only got 2 responses. One was
Nice.
from my buddy Ren, who does the monthly roundtables with
I love
me.
Ren. Yeah.
He used to play in the band Bottom Feeder. He said that he thought the original one was fun, nice little splatterfest, and that the sequel sucked. And then Dustin Perry, who plays bass in that band Snapcase from New York,
no way.
Buffalo, New York.
Nice.
He just said loved it.
Okay,
he just
cool.
responded quick to my story. I should have asked for stabs. I forgot to ask for ratings, but those were the only 2 I got.
Well, thanks a ton for thanks for sending that out and getting some voices of from beyond for our podcast.
Always love hearing stuff from other people, so even if small.
I take it as a point of pride that the bass player from Snapcase commented on a movie that I'm covering. That's sick.
There you go.
I'm super excited.
So I'm proud of you.
Yeah, I'm proud of me that I invited Tim on to get that. So thanks, Tim, and yes. All right, great. So next up.
I got a rock. No,
I got a rock. All right, so next up is Loose Ends. And this is where we share any lasting thoughts or fun facts. So I have a couple of fun facts. Tim, did you have anything you wanted to throw out?
No, I really didn't have anything for this one.
Okay, perfect.
Don't worry, Tim. I never do either.
No. It's a you bring what you want.
Thing. I don't.
I do it. That's right. All right, so first up, the Nazi zombies in the film are a combination of typical zombies in popular culture and ancient Norse mythical beings known as drogs. The drog is an undead being who will inhabit graves, often the graves of important men, as they often have treasures in them. A drog will protect these treasures as if they were their own. So that's where the coins in the box, the golden coins, come into play with these zombies being after them. But I think our wanderer may have touched on them stealing the gold from the Norwegian people, but yeah, that's where all that baloney came from. Thank you for letting me know your thoughts.
You're welcome.
In such a beautiful manner too.
I mean, that's all I have in me.
I know. That's all I want from you.
That's all I have left.
That's all I want is what you have left. All right, so the last thing I have is that the film was nominated for 4 2009 Scream Awards. It did not win any of them, but it was nominated. So it was nominated for Fight to the Death Scene, Most Memorable Mutilation, Best Foreign Movie, and Best Horror Movie. So runner-up, always a bridesmaid, never a bride, but did get nominated, so good for Dead Snow. And yeah, that takes us through our conversation about Dead Snow. And next up is Wheel of Death. And this is where Shelly's going to reach her hand inside the... We only have 2 little papers folded up in there left because...
Did we watch all the movies? Or?
We have one more movie. The movie we pull today will be our final movie
so
for
out
this
of all
season.
the movies that we did, like, put in there... Mm-hmm. All of them are getting watched except... Oh, no, there's a bunch on the wheel.
We have a bunch on the wheel.
I forgot about the ones on the wheel.
Yes. Yeah, Tim, you are on a special episode. This is our last episode to pull a movie and put it on the wheel to replace Dead Snow. So let's go to the wheel. And I'm going to pull it up on my phone.
I'm doing it right now.
Turning up my volume. I am opening the Wheel of Death. Yeah, what's the one that isn't even making the wheel? So first off, what's the movie that's not making the wheel? And then let us know what's going on the wheel, Shelley.
Aww,
do you somehow have a movie left?
I do.
Wow. I'm
and
shocked.
One movie is yours and one movie is mine.
Okay, so the one you picked is
yours.
Mine, and it'll go on the wheel. So what is the movie that is not going on the wheel that is yours?
Battle Royale.
Oh.
Like one of my favorites.
Oh, my goodness.
Why am I putting it back in?
Yeah, that's fine.
I'll just put it in the bag next season.
Yeah, there you go. Bring it back. Bring it back.
It.
All right, so what is the final movie going on to the wheel?
Black Sabbath.
Ooh, Black Sabbath. I believe that is a anthology style movie.
Anthology film, stalked Caldwell.
Mario Bava.
Bava?
Yeah. Mario Bava.
On his family, haunted nurse.
So we are going to
1963.
1963. So we are saving.
So is this our last movie we're watching?
This is the last movie we're watching.
Okay,
so
cool.
after this movie, at the end of the movie that we watch next, we'll be building our bracket. So, all right. So Tim, I'm gonna read off the 10 movies, and actually, before we spin, I'm gonna have us vote on which movie we would like to see us cover as our last film. So, the 10 movies we have on the wheel are The Exorcist Believer, 31, The Witch, The Wailing, Ringu, Pieces, Deathgasm, The Shining, Night of the Living Dead, the 1991 Tom Savini, his, and then Black Sabbath. So, Tim, if we could land on any, I think I know what movie you would want us to cover. What's your vote, Tim?
Oh yeah, it's definitely The Wailing because that was my suggestion.
Exactly. That movie's been on the wheel since the beginning of the season. So I've just been trying to be patient about getting you on the show because I wanted us to land on The Wailing. It hasn't happened yet, and I didn't want to risk not having you on a show this season. That's why I pulled the plug, and I was like, hey, are you interested in talking about Dead Snow? And you were ball. So I was like, great, come on. So
okay. Watch it happen now that I've been on.
All right, Shelly, what about you? If you could vote for any of the movies on the wheel, which?
Not Witch. No, I'm just kidding.
Not The Witch.
I kind of would love to have Night of the Living Dead just to have Lisa on one more time.
Agree.
But selfishly, 31.
Selfishly, 31?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, selfishly, I would want to cover The Witch. I watched it recently, and I loved it. So I would love to cover that. It would make the bracket so much more harder, but I would love to cover it. I would love to land on The Wailing. I haven't seen it yet. Tim speaks highly of it every time he talks about it on his podcast. So I would love to check that out. And for your reasons, I would love to have Lisa back on.
Yeah.
And I've never seen the Night of the Living Dead remake, so I'd like to.
I've watched so many different zombie ones. I think
maybe
I probably
perhaps
caught it at some point. But.
Yeah. Okay. All right, so that takes us through our votes, and let's get ready to spin this wheel. Are you ready, Tim?
Yes, sir.
All right, so Wheel of Death.
Wheel of Death.
Wheel of Death. Wheel of Death. The final movie for the 3rd season of Little Bracket of Horrors is, this was so close, Shelly, but The Witch. Which was right next to 31.
It's on the line.
I know.
Almost.
It is right next to 31.
Stupid.
So selfishly, we are covering The Witch for our final episode. Shelly is looking it up to see where it is streaming.
And there's probably a lot of movies out there that might have Witch in the Title, but we're talking about the 2016 The Witch.
The Witch.
With the goat.
Yeah, with Black Phillip.
Black Phillip.
The Vitch.
The Vitch, yeah, the 2 V's.
The Vitch.
Yes.
Which I've seen this movie. I saw it in theaters.
Oh, okay, great. Great.
It's not streaming anywhere, though. So
Oh.
Good job, Derek.
Listen, this is the problem about building out our lists in the beginning of the year.
Where would it even be streaming at the beginning of the year?
It was streaming on HBO Max, or Max, whatever it is now. It was streaming there.
Yeah, they had all day 24 stuff at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
Cheap to rent.
Okay, so where is it available to rent?
Probably Amazon Prime, Apple TV.
The usual suspects.
You probably get a cheap copy of it on Amazon.
I'm going to be honest. I'm going to Viper Video in Tampa, and I'm going to see if they have a copy. I want to support our local video store in Tampa, so shout out to Viper Video. I'm going to be hitting you guys up to see if you have a physical copy, which I'm sure they do. But I'll be hitting them up to see if they have a physical copy of The Witch. All right, so with that brings us to the end of the episode. Before I do our little call-out thing, Tim, thanks again so much for joining us. This has been a long time coming. I've been wanting to get you on an episode, and like I said, I was trying to wait for The Wailing, but I didn't want to let this season go by without having you on. So thanks again for being up to watching Dead Snow. Thanks for talking to us. This was a blast.
Of course, thank you too for having me. I've had a ton of fun chatting with y'all about it. And it was fun to get to check out Dead Snow finally.
Good. Yeah, I'm glad we both were able to knock it off our lists and be able to move on from it.
Right. It was an enjoyable watch. I just don't know if I'd ever watch it again.
Yeah, I know, exactly. And before we do go out, Tim, please please plug your socials again and anywhere that people can find you.
Of course. Just check out the Horror Flicks and Guitar Picks podcast on Facebook. It'll be on YouTube coming in April. And then it's at Horror Flicks and Guitar Picks Pod on Instagram. And I think it's at Horror Flicks and Guitar Picks Pod on Blue Sky. I haven't started promoting that yet because I figured I didn't build it until during the break. So I figured I wouldn't start using it until I start doing the YouTube. But definitely just keep an eye out. Instagram is pretty much my main thing. But if you don't have that and you only have Facebook, I definitely post it there as well. So.
All right. And with that, our next episode drops February 26th. Don't miss out and tune in to the end of the season where we'll be taking all the films we've watched and have them battled out in our deathmatch tournament. If you listen on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please give us a rating and review if you like what we do. You can find us on Facebook and TikTok by searching Little Bracket of Horrors and on Instagram by typing at Little Bracket of Horrors. We also have merch available at tpublic.com. Just search for our name in their website search bar or pay attention to our socials for a direct link. Thank you everyone for tuning in. I'm Derek.
I'm Shelly.
And I'm Tim.
And we will catch you on the other side. Hit the
me.
button. And we're out. All right, Tim. Thanks a ton, bud.
Of course. Sorry about that. I muted at the end. So.
No, you were good. You were good. You got any plans, or are you just going straight to bed tonight?
What?
Gonna go out and tear the town up? He's a dad.
Yeah, it really depends on if the wife's asleep. I might watch a horror movie. If she's not asleep, we're kind of slowly making our way through Modern Family, so we might watch some of that.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Good show.
It is a good show.
Yeah.
Nice.
All
right.
She's not a horror fan like I am, so usually I stay there. But
she looks a couple things though. I know the one episode you had her on, she was going through some pretty decent stuff that she's a fan of.
Yeah, usually I can tell if she'll like it, and then talk her into watching it. And then she loves like we watch the Belay Brothers together.
Oh yeah.
Every time that comes on stuff, so we'll like review that together and shit every now and then. So.
Nice.
Big drag fans over at my house.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
We watch all those Dragula and RuPaul and whatnot.
Isn't the Belay? Aren't they on Shudder?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We went to their show.
That's right.
After
Orlando,
the
right?
All-Star season that they had. Yeah.
What was that? 2 years ago?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I remember that.
Got to do like the VIP picture with them and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That was
Oh.
cool.
All right, Tim, we will not keep you any longer. Thanks again, bud. And we'll be sharing it out and sharing your podcast and your socials. So, sorry.
That was
just
gross.
It was gross. I'm so sorry. Blooper
No,
reel.
of course. I was gonna say just feel free to add me as like a collaborator in any of the posts or whatever you make too, and I'll accept it.
I'd have to teach them how to do that.
I was like, what?
Yeah. Well, you don't do you do some news feed posts, but you do mostly story stuff, don't you?
I do stories and then whatever the normal.
But you can
posts are.
tag them in the stories. I'll show them how to do it. I'll teach them.
Is that just when I put the at and then your name?
No.
Okay.
It's like when you're posting like the photo.
Yes.
And instead of tagging someone in the photo, you can
is that what it is?
Collaborator.
Okay, yeah, I'll find it there, and I'll make you a collaborator.
Because then it basically shows in his feed and your feed.
Oh, cool.
So like his people, you're so I don't know.
You hand me the reins.
I don't want to run the social media, so I'm okay that you do it. I know more about it.
If you haven't noticed, I've dropped off so hard this year because I'm just fucking over it myself.
Remember when we had theme days?
Oh, I know. I followed that for 2 seasons, and I was like, "Fuck this shit."
So much.
Social media hasn't grown at all, and I'm like, I'm not worrying. I'm not stressing out every day to post stuff. I can't do this to myself. Yeah. So, the important part is the podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to get it's hard to like come up with a post, like even having like an episode a week. Like I still struggle to come up with like content for the entire week. I'm like, and if you don't post every day, they like all of a sudden like your posts don't reach people, and it's like, what the hell?
Yeah.
It's so tiring. That's why I was just.
That's why we tried to do like Meet the Team Monday and like on like I came up with like a timeline, like a schedule.
Yeah, we had 2
like
weeks.
Post about the director on Tuesdays. Post the wheel on Fridays. Like
Meet
it was
Team Mondays.
Yeah. So like I came up with this whole like this is what we're gonna post each day to try to make it easier, and it was still.
I know. Hard. It's just social media.
Yeah.
I'm sick of it.
Suck.
I
suck my dick.
I had to step away because it was just stressing about it. I was like, I can't do this. I said
we're not trying to make money.
Exactly. We are far from being able to make any money on this thing.
We're not monetizing this.
Exactly. Exactly. Which is funny enough. Dashcam just blew up out of nowhere.
I know.
It's like. It's our most listened to episode. There's like tons of listens from the UK. I'm like, how?
I'm wondering because of the type of movie it is. But it's funny because like we'll do nothing and then like our views will be like.
I know.
And it's fucking Dashcam. And I'm like, what is this fucking movie doing?
I know. Of all the movies we have covered, how is it Dashcam? It's crazy.
And we always see an uptick during Halloween.
Yeah, that's true.
People are just searching for
People
like horror
hungry.
movies on podcasts.
They want the scary movie content.
Yeah.
And that's what we're giving. Yeah. We're giving the content.
Boo.
Boo. A nice warm pie of content. That's what we're doing every 2 weeks.
You mean a warm outhouse?
Ugh. Yuck. A very cold outhouse. All right, Tim, we've held
with what Erlen was doing there.
Oh,
it was warm.
We have held you long enough, Tim. We'll talk to you later, all right, bud?
All right, guys, I appreciate y'all. Thank you
for sure.
for having me.
Later.
I don't know which button to push, so I'm gonna leave that to you. I can't believe it was almost my movie.
I don't know if you like the microphone there or on that side, but feel free to adjust.
That's fine.
Feel free to adjust.
My glasses were here.
Oh, they're right here.
I can't see.
They migrated.
You're blurry. No, you can stay in your bed. Where are you gonna go?
Check.
Tippy tappies. You can go lay down. Look at her tongue right now, Derek. Her tongue just hangs out all the time now. Oh my lord. Yes.
All right. Let's see.
Hello. Oh.
Is that a little too high? You feel good?
I think it's fine.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I feel too low, so I'd rather be.
And to be.
You can pull me back if you need to.
Exactly. I always have to monitor it. Not monitor it, but level it out anyways. So.
Hopefully my dog doesn't walk around too much.
It'll be no biggie. We will survive. All right, let's call Tim. What if he didn't answer?
What's up, y'all?
Hey, how you doing, Tim?
Doing good. How about y'all?
Let me turn you down a little bit.
Well, it might be. Are you on speakerphone?
I shouldn't be.
No, not you, Tim.
Oh, Tim.
No, I'm not.
Okay.
I can turn.
There.
I was gonna say I have some Raycons I can try if they will be a little quieter.
No, that seems better.
Yeah,
no.
You sound good right there. I think I just had my volume turned up a little bit too much, but I think that sounds good right there. Cool. How you doing today, bud?
Doing good. How about y'all?
Yeah, we're doing good. Doing this on a Tuesday night, getting it in.
I'll warn you, it's our least favorite to do it on a weekday
I know.
night, but sometimes it's the only option.
Yeah. Awesome.
We find ourselves being really. I find myself being really whiny. But, such is life.
Yep.
I do the same. I fit it in where you can get it in, but I'm also
exactly.
the same on. Luckily, I'm off on Wednesdays, but I was up early this morning, so I'm with you on the late night on a Tuesday.
Yeah, for sure. All right, we'll kick into this. You'll hit the little sound thing.
Oh yes.
Yeah. And then Tim, do you want to do our intro? You don't have to if you're not comfortable with it. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. We'll have Shelly do it. And all right, so go ahead and kick it off when you're ready.
Welcome to Little Bracket of Horrors, the pod that puts the fight and fright. I was about to say the fright and fight.
Yeah. Puts the fight and fright. Yeah.
Stupid. The fight and fright.
That was a final con for me, but Shelly's got to go take care of something, so we're gonna take a little break. Oh, I think she's gonna let Chuleta out, her doggy.
Okay.
So we will chill here for a second, and I'll edit all this garbage out. So, how much work are you ready for April, or do you have to do some more stuff? Like, how much of the work is done, and how much more do you have to go?
So I haven't done anything. Because like I haven't taken a break at all.
Oh,
Like,
I know, yeah.
I've been doing the podcast like straight. So,
Mm-hmm.
and even doing this break, I've been like the whole time. I'm like, what can I do when I come back? So,
Yeah.
I actually have my first interview tomorrow with
cool.
a makeup effects artist,
Okay.
Barney Berman. He did House. He did that show
Ooh.
Grimm. I know he won an Oscar for something, but I don't remember what. But he's done a ton of shit. I'll send you his link right after this.
Is that the American House?
Yeah, the
Okay.
one with like William Catt. Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
But he's done a bunch of good stuff. I'll send you his like IMDb or whatever. I'll send you his like Instagram after this. But
Nice.
he'll be my first interview, and then my plan is to have him as my first interview in April, and I'm only gonna have like one interview a month because, or I might have two in May just because of the way that like there's 5 Fridays or 5 Thursdays or whatever in May, like release days.
Yeah.
But in April, I'll only have Barney, the makeup effects artist, and then my plan for May is to have Jay from the Cancer Bats back on to talk.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, he should be back on to do like a strictly vampire films episode.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, and then I just so I might figure out another episode for that. But
Nice.
Steven, who's gonna be my co-host, he had he had some real like extensive shoulder surgery.
Ooh.
This past month, so he's like recovering from that, and then as soon as he recovers, we're gonna go ahead and record. And I know our first 2 episodes in May, in April, are gonna be meet the host episodes because I never even did one originally. So, I'll do kind of like pretty much the kind of interviews I do with the musicians. I'll do with me and Steven, and we'll just answer those questions like between the two of us.
Oh, good.
And but then we'll also do a meet the hosts. The 2 episodes we release in April will be Meet the Host Horror Edition and Meet the Host Music Edition because we both have played in bands and stuff like that. And then when we come around in April, me and him will just switch off picking topics, and then the round table will still keep going and stuff.
Yeah.
But other than that, I got plans to seeing the monkey tomorrow. Finally.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that's awesome. I got to go see it. Ever since Longlegs, I've been digging into Osgood's stuff, and I'm now looking for all of his projects and trying to check them out. So I'll be looking at trying to get that one under the belt. Definitely.
Oh yeah, I'll let you know.
Yeah, give me a spoiler-free thoughts.
Yeah, pretty much. I'll just give you a thumbs up, thumbs down type thing.
Yeah, I like it. All right, Shelly's back, so we're gonna continue on. But
what's up, babe?
You're good. What's her Hannah put a piece in his pocket when they first opened the box. She slipped it in. I don't know if it was a joke or something, but obviously came back to, she's not alive. But it didn't bite her in the ass, but it definitely got her boy Martin.
My sister just got home.
Your sister just got home? That's fine. We'll edit this.
Yeah.
Oh, this will be in the blooper reel.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're good. You're good.
She was in your room.
Yeah. She was waiting all night for you.
Her face smells like pee, too. So I don't know if her bed in there has pee on it or not. The other side of her face.
Welcome home. She smells like pee. How was the shelter?
It's good. Filled with dogs.
Filled with the best dogs. The best doggos.
We're almost done.
Yep. Great point. I think